Those that normally tune in might be seeing something different. You might not be seeing anything at all. Changes between the software that I use and the iPhone leaves me uncertain every day when things are different. But I think I am on Facebook and YouTube, still having problems getting onto Twitter. But nonetheless, want to make sure to get this done today. I missed it yesterday because I was too busy. I was busy today, which is why I didn't even clean my desk. But I want to make sure to get this in. This is my how-to series where each week I like to go a little more in depth into a topic than I do with my daily tips. For the record, today is October 17, 2018. I am in New Jersey, so if you're watching this at any other time or in any other place, you got to make sure that it still applies. So today's video is how to know your rights as a father in New Jersey. And what I mean by that is your custody and parenting rights. And it's a very complicated question. I'm going to do my best to simplify as much of it as possible and really just give you some of the distinctions when it comes to parenting time and custody. And it's largely going to turn on whether or not you've been to court at all and whether or not there's a court order. So let me break it down to you. First, let's talk about what the law says. And this means if you have not been to court, but what the law suggests as far as you're as a parent or father. And technically, you really have none if you haven't been to court because there's no court order. So you sort of have every right and no rights. And just like the other parents. So that means technically you can pick up and move, you can leave the state, you can grant or prohibit contact from the other parent because there's nothing that prohibits you from doing anything. Similarly, there's nothing that prohibits the other parent from doing anything either. So you both have equal rights and no rights at the same time. It may sound a little confusing, but that's because there's just nothing dictating what is or isn't allowed or what's been limited or granted by a court. So you're both on equal footing. But what the law does say when it comes to custody is that no parent has a greater right to custody than the other. The court will look to what is considered the best interest of the child or children. There's 14 different criteria the court will look to when determining this issue. Many factors, including the age and preference of the children, history of domestic violence, stability of the housing, needs of education, and several other factors. The court will look at each and every one of them and compare the two parents to see which is in the children's or child's best interest when determining who should have custody. Once that is determined, then becomes an issue of how much parenting time the other parent should have. Now, the law does not say that both parents should have equal physical time with the children either. New Jersey tried to pass that one time recently. It was not successful. Currently, the statute says you have or should have as much time as possible, or both parents should have as much time as possible with the children in a parenting schedule. So simply put, when there's no court order determined or when you're looking to go in on a custody parenting time issue, you're going to be presumed to have equal rights to the child, the right to have as much time as possible, and no parent has a greater advantage over the other because ultimately custody is determined by what's best for the children, not who is best. Now, if you've been to court, that changes things drastically. So let's look at first if you've been to court and haven't gotten an order, and then if you have been to court and had an order. So first, if you've been to court without an order, meaning you or the other parent, or even somebody, sometimes it's a third party, DCP&P, could be a grandparent. If somebody has filed a case in court, but the court has not decided it yet, for whatever the reason is, neither parent can leave the state of New Jersey without the other parent's consent or an order of the court. So you can't relocate to another state. You can't even visit if you live in New York or New Jersey. You can't even visit New York, which may in some cases be 10 minutes away, 15 minutes away. You are allowed to go anywhere in New Jersey, which can ironically be 3 hours away if you're in North Jersey and you move to Camden County or somewhere further. You can move without permission for either parent because you still have the equal rights that I mentioned because the court has not made a decision yet, even though it's filed. So really the only limitation once the court case is commenced by somebody is you cannot leave the state of New Jersey without the other parent's permission. Best to have that in writing or an order from the court. And that goes for both parents. Lastly, if you have been to court and there is a court order, your rights are going to be limited by exactly what the court order says. So it's very important that you read it carefully. If it's already been ordered and you're out of court, you still cannot leave the state of New Jersey, even if that's not specifically in the order, because that's generally a rule that exists once a case has been commenced or filed, even once it's over, because it still exists. You cannot leave the state of New Jersey. You can only do what is within that court order. And lastly, when it comes to trying to enforce that court order, if you are trying to enforce your rights as a father under a court order for parenting time or custody, the only option you really have is either go into court on a motion for contempt or enforcement, or to call DCP&P, which is also known past as DIFUS, to help them get involved if there's a risk of harm to your children. You cannot use help, meaning you can't keep the children or violate an order to get maybe something you were entitled to in the past, or to get back for something you lost. You cannot really call the police even to help you enforce an order, because technically the police have no right to interpret a court order or to enforce it, because they don't know if it's an accurate court order. They're not authorized to interpret it, and they don't even know if it's still a valid one. So ultimately, what they could be called upon is not even an actual court order. So they generally can't help almost in any way other than being peacekeeping officers and trying to assist the best that they can. So I hope that this information helps you. I hope that you're seeing it, because normally I have my Facebook up here separately and I can tell what's being recorded or not, but hopefully it's being recorded. Hopefully the information is helpful to you. If it is, please give a like and share the video. If you want to get notices when I'm on air, you can subscribe and you'll get messages when I post and when I sign on. You can also message me from whatever platform you have with any questions you have about either this video or any other topics I've covered. I do answer every tip or a question that I get, and I also take suggestions if there's something that you would like to see. So with that, I'm going to sign off. I probably will not be on tomorrow, which will be Friday, October 19th. I will be doing a long crime episode in New York in the afternoon, usually about 3 to 6-ish. If you want to tune there, you can watch me on Pluto TV. I forget the channel right offhand. Xfinity Cable has it, or you can go to longcrime.com also. Thank you, and I'll be back soon. Bye.